I'm George Flynn, and you're watching In-Depth TV. And today, we're going to talk about something that I saw it months, maybe years ago. And I followed his career. I actually got to meet him one time. We were talking about Clint Eastwood. I was building a radio station in California, and he was mayor of the city. And that was back when we had to go get permission to build towers and that kind of thing. It was Carmel, California. And so I went there, and I got to meet Clint Eastwood. And it was fun. It was years ago. I remember it. I hope he remembers it a little bit, but maybe not. But what I'm talking about is his career and how we might look at that and maybe model that career a little bit. Now, we don't have to be Dirty Harry. You know, when I saw Dirty Harry, I saw this tough guy. And he was a tough guy, and he was young, and he was getting the criminals, and he was doing the thing, and he was being the hero. But he was tough. And he was just. And then I saw him do a lot of movies, westerns. A Mule for Sister Sarah, I believe that's what it was called. And you know the Clint Eastwood movies, and you know he would always have an antagonist, and he was a protagonist. He was the good guy. Not necessarily all good, but he was the human good guy. He had his faults. And the guy that was against him, the antagonist, he was really bad. And he was out to play every kind of dirty trick on Clint Eastwood. So, you know, a fistful of dollars and a more fistful of dollars and whatever. I think they called them spaghetti westerns. But you would see him do these parts, and he was basically the same character every time. But you wanted to see that character. What was it about him that you wanted to see? He lets you into his life. He lets you see who he was, even though he was playing a part. That was him. Yes, he was playing a part, but he still brought himself to the part. And what I'm saying is, you're playing a part in life, your work, your home, your, church, your family, your friends. You're playing a part, but are you bringing yourself to that part? Are you hiding your true self? Because I'm going to inform you of something. You may not want to hear this, so you may want to turn it off for a minute. You may not want to hear this. People can tell when you're not being genuine. People can tell when you're faking it. As much as you think you fooled them, you didn't. Now, they're not going to come out and say, you're this way, and you presented yourself to be this way, and they're too far away from each other, and they don't ever meet. Therefore, I don't trust you. What is it about Clint Eastwood? And I'm picking somebody out of the blue here because I like his movies. There are a lot of other people that are like this that are themselves, even though they're playing a part. And you play a different part at home than you play at church, than you play at work, than you play when you're out recreating, golf or swimming or fishing, or you play different parts. You play a different part when you're around your children, your grandchildren, your mother, your father, your spouse. You play a different part. Do you bring yourself to it? That's the big question. How authentic are you? And you want to be authentic. You want to be truthful. And you want to be authentic. You want to be you. And we have these songs, I got to be me. You hear those songs all the time. What are they talking about? You just be you. It's not like somebody's stopping you. There's a song out there called My Way. I did it. I took the blows and I did it my way. Well, this person's being themselves, whoever wrote the song. Now, there are plenty of people that can sing the song, can sing well. But some people can sing that song and you believe them. And some people can sing that song and you say, oh, that was very well done. And you clap for them, but you don't believe a word they said. And you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, keep on watching. I think you'll understand. But Clint Eastwood, we're back to Clint Eastwood. Remember the guy I met in Carmel and got to interview him as mayor of Carmel and got to, see a lot of his movies, see his work, and see how his characters develop. Though remember, whatever character he developed, he brought himself, his essence, to that character. No matter what lines they wrote, just like no matter the way somebody writes a song, if someone sings it, you can tell if they mean it, if it's part of them, or you can tell if they're just mouthing the words and checking the boxes and say, I sang the right notes, but they don't have the emotional feeling to it. So it's very subjective. Very, very subjective. If you watch America's Got Talent and those shows, the ones that usually win, not necessarily the best technically, but they've got something extra. And before we get into, they may have something extra you don't have. They don't. They allow themselves to be seen. They allow themselves to be vulnerable. They're not totally, constantly protecting themselves, not always holding on to an armor. But then, we'll get back to Clint Eastwood. He's done some movies when he was older. Past 75, past 80, maybe 85. He's still doing movies. He's still playing parts. He's still directing. He's still doing all of these things. And he's got this quality that he brings himself to the part. And I don't care what age he is, I still see him bringing himself to the part. He doesn't bring the part to himself. He doesn't say, oh, this character is going to do this is going to do this. No, he says, I am me, and I'm going to do this character how I, as a person, would do the scene, how I would do the character. And it's very interesting to watch him. He did something about for Torino or something when he was older. And people were messing with his car. I don't know the plot of the story of the movie. I've seen it, but then he did one called The Mule. And I urge you to see it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's Clint Eastwood as an older person, but with the spirit of a very much younger person. And at the end of it, there's a song at the end of the movie, and it may be through the movie, about Toby Keith. And the name of the song is Don't Let the Old Man In. And the genesis of that song, where it came from, is Toby Keith and Clint Eastwood were playing golf. And I think the movie was going on. And so they were playing golf, and Toby Keith said to Clint Eastwood, what is the secret of your youth? He said, basically, what age would you like to be if you didn't know any numbers? And there was no answer there. And he said, well, what is the secret to your youth? And Clint Eastwood, maybe he was making a quip, and maybe he meant it. He said, the secret is, don't let the old man in. And Toby Keith says, man, that would be a great song. As a matter of fact, Toby Keith went out and wrote the song, Don't Let the Old Man In. Now you can think about this. Maybe you've let the old man open the door, or old lady. We're talking about old person in. Maybe they've cracked the door. Maybe they've gotten a foot in the door. Maybe you're walking a little slower. Maybe you're shuffling a little bit. But you can understand what we're talking about. Don't let the old man in. Don't let the old lady in. You stay youthful. Yes, Clint Eastwood's older, but he's not letting the old man in. He's maintaining that sense of humor, that smile. He is maintaining youth. And it shows. He's one of these people, you can't take your eye away from him. And why is that? We'll go back to it. He's truthful. He's authentic. And he is the person. He is who he is. He's not afraid of who he is. He's not hiding anything. And you know all of those movies where he was wearing the poncho, the spaghetti westerns, I think they're called. He was wearing this poncho. Even though he had the poncho on, he let himself out. He lets you know who he is in that character. Not who he was, not who he's going to be, it's who he is right now. And how many of us put up this emotional armor? How many of us try to act a part? Try to act more sophisticated than we feel like we are, or less sophisticated than we feel like we are? How many of us just go through the motions? You come to a certain point, you just got to go ahead and be vulnerable. Say, here I am, world. You don't like it, other people do. But be yourself. That's what Clint Eastwood's telling us. Be yourself. And I really think you should have some time to go watch some little clips. You can watch them on YouTube. You don't even have to buy the movie. You can watch some clips of his movies, and you can get the feel of what I'm talking about him bringing himself to the part. There was another man that could do it. There are plenty of people that can do it. Fred Thompson did it when he was on TV. He brought Fred Thompson to the part because I knew him, and he was the same on TV as he was in person. So don't let the old man in. Don't let the old woman in. Don't let the old person in. And if they've come in, ask them very kindly, very politely to leave, because you've got a lot of living to do. And you don't want to just sit down and not live. You're given this day to be blessed, and you're given it to become the person you've always wanted to be. So let's be it. I'm George Flynn. See you next time.